Hello, everyone. Welcome to Everything Iconic with me, Danny Pellegrino. Very excited for my guests. We have Jake Borelli, who you might know from Grey's Anatomy, a little show on ABC. Jake, how are you doing today?
I'm good. How are you?
I'm good. I mean, I've been a Grey's fan from the beginning. You joined in season 14. We're currently in season 18, right?
Yes. Yeah. Just finishing 18.
Okay, so tell me, by season 14, it was already this humongous show. Tell me about the process of joining the show. I would imagine you'd be super excited, and also it's intimidating to go on a set like that.
Oh yeah, it was insane. Literally, I didn't think I could ever be on this show. Like literally when I got the audition, I was like, that's not gonna happen. And I had just moved to New York, and I had lived in LA for 8 years, and I was like trying something new in New York. And I got the audition at like 9 o'clock at night for the next day to tape. And I was like, I don't know anybody in this city. Like, how am I going to tape this audition? Plus, I'm never going to get Grey's Anatomy. Like, maybe I just won't do it. And so I called my friend, the only pretty much friend I had in New York at the time. And I was like, if she can tape this audition with me tomorrow at like 9 a.m. we can do it. If not, I don't know. And luckily she was available, and we sent in the tape and booked it off the tape. And I ended up having to move back to LA after like 6 weeks in New York.
Okay. And so I think I read that you hadn't watched the show before joining. Is that correct?
Not really. I mean, I was like 14 or something when the show came out, 13. And my parents at that time were like, this is like mommy's show. Like, I don't know if you can watch this. And so I never watched it in the beginning. And then, we didn't have Netflix back then where you could binge everything. So it was impossible to catch up. So I had seen like the big, like iconic moments here and there, but no, I hadn't watched it.
Oh my God, Jake, you missed out. I mean, those early seasons, I suppose a little bit older than you, because I remember season 2, the big Denny, Katherine Heigl moment, Izzy Elvad Wire moment. I remember being in my freshman dorm, and the girls on the floor. It was at Ohio University. I know you're from Columbus, Ohio, but I remember the young ladies on the floor. Just every girls' room in the dorm had that finale on, and you could just hear everyone crying. It was like, I'll never forget that. It was like that. And I think the OC, I remember everyone in the dorms used to watch, but
yeah, I also missed the OC. I was like right after, but then my first roommate in LA was obsessed with the OC. And so now I've seen all of the OC.
I love that.
And since being on Grey's, I've now seen every single episode of Grey's twice. I've watched the whole thing all the way through.
Okay, so since you've watched the whole thing all the way through, like what are some of your favorites as a viewer from before you joined? Like, do you have a favorite storyline or arc or character?
Oh my gosh! I mean, the plane crash was intense. That was so cool, and it felt like almost felt like a movie. Yeah. I loved that. Also, I loved Baby Grey, so Lexi, and so that was super, super sad.
Yeah.
That's the thing that sticks out.
Some of it was so sad. I mean, so much of it, but it's such a good show. And you were actually one half of the first gay coupling on the show, which came after 14 years. And obviously Grey's is known for representation, but that was one specific area that hadn't been explored yet until you joined the show. And I'm curious, what's it been like? Representation is so important for television still to this day, but like, what do you hear from viewers? I mean, you must hear from a lot of people, and what's that like? What's the heaviness like for you? Tell me about that. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. I mean, I hear from people all the time about it, and it's so amazing to me because it's the same feelings that I felt, watching the show and not seeing that sort of representation. We had Calzona, but that was a lesbian relationship. And then here I am, this like young gay boy, and I didn't feel like I had that representation. And so the moment that I found out this storyline was coming, all the excitement that I had and the fear that I had was the same thing that I'm sure a lot of fans felt too. So to get to talk to them about it is incredible. To get to hear their stories is incredible. Still, even to this day, it's been, 3 years since the character came out. And I still get messages on Instagram every single day from queer people of all types reaching out to me saying how much they feel seen by the character. And it's huge. I still pinch myself.
Yeah. What's it like? You have a lot of scenes with Ellen Pompeo. What's it like working with her? I mean, she's been steering the ship for so long.
Yes. Yeah. It's incredible. I mean, in the beginning, it was like a masterclass in like television acting and like drama acting and stuff like that. It very much mirrored my own relationship or Levi's relationship with Meredith Grey. It was like, I was in awe and I was like so excited to be in all of these scenes. And now to be able to work with her for, the past 5 years, it's incredible to see how she navigates, being on the show and helming the show and really fighting for the story and for authenticity and how she supports the whole cast. It's incredible.
In the early days of Grey's, there was just this book that came out. And of course, we've all heard the stories about the early days of the Grey's sets when there was so much tumultuous stuff going on behind the scenes. And I'm curious what the vibe is like now. I mean, of course, I've heard that it's much better, but what is it like on set these days?
Oh, it's great. I mean, we all went through this like insane 2 years of awfulness. And, for the past 2 years, these people were like my family, pretty much. We were our support system. And I have so much love for everybody. It's incredible. I mean, we just had our 400th episode big like wrap party. And it was like the first time we had seen each other all without masks on because it was outside, and it was like a big celebration. And it was like, seeing your family again. It was really, really cool, honestly.
What is coming up on the 400th? The 400th episode, I believe, is the season finale of season 18, right? So what do we have to look forward to? What can you tease? Can you give me something?
It's going to be a lot of Greys. We got 2 hours coming for you on the season finale. So it'll be cool.
Okay, really but cool. Jake, I need to know what happens. Are characters killed? Do we lose people?
There's like still like 4 episodes before the finale where so much is going to happen. So even if I told you what happened in the finale, it wouldn't make sense. So much happens before it.
Okay. Are we losing any main cast members? That's what I need to know. Also, Jake, I actually do need to know this. What happened with Alex Karev? What happened there? What happened did the actor just decide he wanted to go his separate ways? What happened?
To be honest, I don't know. It's such a huge cast that it's like people come and go. And I mean, Alex Karev was a character for 16 years. And, I don't know.
I was devastated, Jake. I love that character so much. And obviously we grow so close to, we feel like we know you as viewers of Grey's Anatomy. And so when he specifically left, obviously I got really upset when Christina left. I still hold out hope for Izzy to come back. I mean, I was just listening to an interview with Ellen Pompeo and Kate Walsh, and I had asked you a few minutes ago about the working conditions on Grey's, and it was so fascinating because they were talking about how back in the day, Katherine Heigl was on a late night show, and she was talking about the long hours they were spending filming the show in the early days. And she got a lot of flack. She got a lot of heat for saying that the hours were too long and it was too much. And Ellen and Kate were saying she was right. Like, if we look back now, of course, hindsight's 2020, but she was right about that specific, but she took so much heat. And so, it's good to hear that the set, it seems like you guys all get along now and everything because.
Well, it was a different time back then. I mean, it was, 15 years ago is a long time. And, work rules were completely different at that point. The idea of like how a set should run is different. And also where we're at now is because of what happened back then too. You know what I mean? Like Ellen has fought to get certain rules changed or certain protocols changed on our set. And similarly, the executive producers of our show have fought too. You know, they're all behind trying to make, you know, television in general a more, you know, a safe place to work, a place that is, you know, helps creativity, which is interesting. And also, to go back to your other point, we have like a lot of characters leave the show, right? But we're seeing now a lot of characters come back. Like we have Sarah Drew coming back and Jesse Williams coming back. And so it's like, it doesn't seem to be that Grey's is like a place you ever truly leave either. So there's still hope.
And I think that's part of the greatness of the show too, is people can kind of come in and out. And for longtime viewers, we have a history with these characters that you don't get on any other show. I mean, because of the fact that it's been on 18 seasons, I mean, it's so rare in television to have such a long history with a character like Ellen Pompeo's or some of these other cast members who've been around for a while too. Yeah. Jake, what do you hope for next on Grey's Anatomy? Like, how long do you see this going on for?
I hope it keeps going for a lot longer. I mean, it's hard to know. You know, there has been so many like endings written that have been unwritten, and so many storylines that seem to be tied up that end up, you know, coming back years later. And so I hope it keeps going on forever. As a huge fan of the show, I would love to keep it going.
Jake, before I let you go, I want to know these next two questions I ask all of my guests. So the first is your favorite Mariah Carey song. And the second is, if you were choosing for People Magazine's Sexiest Man Alive, who would you choose?
Oh my gosh. Okay, well, this might make me even more of a nerd than I already am, but I would have to say for Mariah Carey, I love that Christmas special that she did during the pandemic, because I was like, you know, we were all locked in our homes, and then these three beautiful angels come out and sing that song where her and Ariana hit that whistle note together. And we're just like over there, like on the side, like bopping. Like that's the first thing that comes to mind as my favorite Mariah Carey moment. Oh God. And then Sexiest Man Alive. I mean, I've got a lot of them. Honestly, Jonathan Bailey right now is on the top of my list from Bridgerton. Not to like continue plugging Sean Land, but Bridgerton is so good.
They did a good job with casting over there on Bridgerton with the men. Yeah.
And he's doing that play Cock right now on the West End, which I'm like, I wish I could see so bad because I love that play.
Yeah. Did he was he the one who replaced Taron Egerton? Or did he?
No, they're together. Yeah, it's the two of them. I don't know what's going on with Taron Egerton right now, but
okay.
But I know he's on it.
Okay. Well, we love to see Cock. Jake, you mentioned you're a nerd. Your character's sort of a nerd. I mean, your character really is a nerd on Grey's Anatomy too, but are you a gamer yourself? I was reading that you about the character being a gamer, and I was wondering, are you a video gamer yourself? Because I'm a huge video game junkie. I specifically love the Nintendo stuff, but
you know, my brothers were huge gamers, and I was very close in age to my brothers growing up, and so I was the youngest, and I would never get to play, but I loved watching. And then anytime they would like die or something in the game, they'd blame it on me. And then that's like my extent to video games, except for one time I snuck down in the basement to play Halo on one of their like, I don't even know what you call it, like their stories, which they hated because if I like ruined their like stats or whatever, they would get mad. And I snuck down in the basement with all the lights off. I like snuck into one of my brother's like logins. And then I didn't realize that in Halo, the first one, that your like controller shakes. And like when the aliens were coming down, like it was like, and the controller was shaking like this. And I was in the dark in the basement, and I got terrified, and I was like, never again, I'm not playing video games. And so the next time, other than like Mario Kart, the next time was on TV as Levi Schmidt.
I love that. Jake, what's anything else you want to let listeners know? Where can they find you on social media? All of that stuff.
Oh yeah, I mean I'm on everything. It's usually like Jake Borelli or Jake Borelli, something. Jake Borelli at Instagram is where I'm normally at.
Well, Jake, it was such a pleasure talking to you. I obviously love talking to anyone that's from Ohio. And so
Yeah.
I'm so
Oh
excited
wait.
to see OHIO. Yes. Oh, Jake, I've had some good times at O. You said you went to Ohio State?
I didn't go to Ohio State, but I grew up right next to Ohio State. And you went to OU? Is that the same as Ohio University?
Yeah, it's Ohio University. I spent my first 2 years there, and then I transferred, and I ultimately graduated from Kent because I was working, so I had to transfer closer to home. But yeah, I feel like my college experience was Ohio University. I mean, that's where I kind of
when I was like 16. I went down and did a film for like a thesis film for a couple of people at OU, and it was called Peanut Butter, and it was like my first ever movie, and it was as a teenager down there.
Oh my God. I was probably in the TCOM, it was like called the TCOM program there, but because you're a little younger than me, who was the director? Do you know?
You honestly might have been there. Pat Norman.
Yeah, I know. I mean, I don't know him personally, but I know I know Pat Norman, and Peanut Butter sounds really familiar. Anyway, Jake, I'm keeping you, but this was such a pleasure talking to you. Everyone can watch the season finale of Grey's Anatomy, May 27th. Is that when it's on? May 26th? 26th.
In the end of May, it'll be a 2 hour.
And so it's your last episode, right? I'm trying to get some tea now.
It's my last episode. It's certainly my last episode of the season, as it is everyone's.
I'm trying my best, Jake, to get some scoop.
I hope it's not my last episode. We got to get that juju out.
No, Jake, you're sticking around forever. And then we need the character to have a spinoff. Then we're doing a spinoff. Okay.
We'll go in and pitch that together.
Perfect. Jake, it's such a pleasure. Thank you so much. And congrats on all the success.
Thank you. It was a pleasure.